All of the students at CASA are beginners in learning English. The length of time that they have been in the United States varies greatly from 20 years to 3 months. Each of the students is very eager to learn English for many reasons. The greatest reason being that they wish to learn English to fit in better within their community. Each of the students are either a level 1 or level 2, with one student being a potential level 3. Each week, the students come to CASA excited to learn. Because most of them know very little English, speaking to them is challenging on most days. They often seem very nervous or anxious in class and are not always willing to volunteer. To start each class, Holly, the program coordinator, plays a game with the students to try and create a low-anxiety environment. For example, one day we played telephone, a game that requires everyone to sit in a circle and one by one whisper a phrase into their neighbor's ear, ultimately hoping that the original phrase is the same as the one the final person hears at the end of the game. This forced each student to participate, helping to make them feel more relaxed in the classroom. On the day of my lesson, there were about 8 students in the class, as well as other Gettysburg student volunteers who helped as one-on-one tutors with each student during the lesson. We decided to teach our lesson on Thanksgiving. This was because Thanksgiving was quickly approaching, and we thought that all CASA students should know about the holiday if they didn't already. We based our lesson around 3 categories: vocabulary, traditions, and history. The goals that we set for this lesson were for students to be able to identify food vocabulary words associated with Thanksgiving, have them write about their Thanksgiving traditions, and write about the history of Thanksgiving. Because we only had 45 minutes to teach our lesson, we thought an overview of food, traditions, and history were the most important aspects of the holiday to focus on. We started our lesson with the use of digital storytelling. This video was created to provide a broad overview of Thanksgiving and to give background information on the students before starting the lesson. We used a PowerPoint to teach the rest of our lesson. We thought this approach would be most beneficial because we showed a lot of pictures of vocabulary words and wanted to be able to provide the students with pictures on the board while they filled in their graphic organizers. Something that I think is important to take into consideration is the age of many of the students. Most of them are adults above the age of 30. I think this is important because learning a second language is more difficult when a person is older. Something else that I think is important to think about is the fact that I don't speak any Spanish. For this reason, I am unable to translate information to students when they don't understand it in English. This makes it difficult for me to understand whether or not the students are understanding what I'm teaching them. I think that because the students already struggle to learn in the class, it is important to teach them about topics that are relevant to them. Hopefully the relevancy will be enough to help them understand the topics more clearly, and they will enjoy learning because they understand what they're learning about. To achieve our lesson goals, we provided the students with worksheets and a graphic organizer to help them with their vocabulary and writing. Before filling in their worksheets, we used a PowerPoint to explain each of the vocabulary words and the questions related to traditions and history. The graphic organizer was made to help the students learn Thanksgiving food vocabulary words. On the organizer was a picture of the food with a line to the right of it where students could write the name of the term. There was also a word bank at the top of the sheet to help students with spelling. I taught my part of the lesson on Thanksgiving traditions. During this time, I used a PowerPoint to share with the class many different traditions that people have on Thanksgiving.
So, most people celebrate Thanksgiving with their friends and their families. Thanksgiving is a time when you spend time with people that you care about, so most people will eat dinner with their friends and their families. Where some people celebrate Thanksgiving at their house. They might go to a friend's house or a family member's house, or they might go to a restaurant. All just depends on who the person is. Some activities that are associated with Thanksgiving are going to the parade in New York City, the Macy's Day Thanksgiving Parade, watching American football games. Those are really big on Thanksgiving. You can either go to the games or watch them on TV.
The second sheet we gave them was a worksheet about traditions. We used this as a tool to help students write about their Thanksgiving traditions. This worksheet asked the students questions about what they do on Thanksgiving with a few pre-written answers below. We asked the students to circle the answer that best represented their traditions, then asked them to rewrite the sentence on a line underneath the question. This allowed the students to read the question and rewrite their answer in a full sentence with only a little help from the pre-written answer choices we gave them. Finally, we gave the students a worksheet with the history of Thanksgiving typed up on it. However, there were blanks within the story where students had to fill in the correct word. We put the story on a PowerPoint, putting one paragraph per slide, and read the history of Thanksgiving aloud to them. While we read the story, the students were asked to write in the missing word on their worksheet. The missing word was underlined and typed in red font on the PowerPoint so that the students could easily find which word was missing. To guide our students through these activities, we walked around the room giving assistance when needed. There were also other Gettysburg students present who worked one-on-one with each of the students to help them complete each worksheet. This was very helpful for us as it gave us the freedom to walk around the room and observe each of the students. Most of the students were able to achieve our goals, but only with the help of one of the tutors in the class. As I walked around the classroom, I was able to see some of the students who could complete the worksheets with little help, while others could hardly complete the worksheet with help from the tutors. This is the work of a student who was able to complete the worksheet on her own. She is the student who I believe is potentially a level 3. With the help of the PowerPoint and the word bank, she was able to fill in this graphic organizer. This is the work of a student who struggled to fill in her graphic organizer. While she had help from a tutor and a word bank, she was still unable to write the corresponding vocabulary words on the worksheet. It is clear to see, however, that she understood the pictures as she knew what the foods were, identifying them in Spanish, but not in English. Our second activity, the students needed a lot more time to finish their worksheets. The students also struggled more because this activity involved writing full sentences. The tutors were extremely helpful in assisting the students in completing their worksheets. For the most part, the students were able to circle the activity that best described their Thanksgiving traditions, but struggled with writing full sentences. Their ability to structure sentences were not as advanced as they should be. This is the work of a student who was able to achieve our goal. She was able to circle the choice that best represented her Thanksgiving traditions, then write her answer in a full and complete sentence. This is the work of a student who partially understood the activity. She was able to circle the choice that represented her traditions, but was unable to write the answer out in a full sentence. For our lesson on history, the students did well in filling out their note sheet. We made sure that each student had their blank filled in on the sheet before moving on to the next one. While they did not struggle with filling in the blanks, I questioned whether or not they were able to understand the activity. Because they do not know much English at all, I feel as though they were not able to read and understand the story we gave them about history. I think that the worksheets we provided for the students worked very well. It provided them with physical materials to take home with them to review on their own time. I also think our style of teaching was effective, especially because we had extra tutors to assist us in helping the students to learn. Looking back now, I don't think our digital storytelling activity was as effective as we thought it would be. This is because the students struggled to understand English, so I'm not sure that they were able to understand our video. Next time, I would make sure that all of our materials are created for level 1 and 2 students rather than level 3 and 4 students. Through teaching this lesson and volunteering at CASA, I have learned just how difficult it is to teach ESL students without having a background in their native language. This has made me think about all the students in schools who are unable to understand their teachers in a daily lesson and teachers who are unable to communicate with their ESL students. This program has allowed me to see how important ESL classes are to students who do not speak English in our schools.